The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
As the playoffs are about to begin, the head coach of the Evergreen Park Mustangs, Jim Ramazinski, is down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar. How are you, Coach?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Are you excited? I'm going to touch a little bit on what happened at the end of the season, but I think you're probably focusing, laser focused on what's ahead.
Yeah, no, we're very excited. We were obviously planning to be in the playoffs all year, and now it's coming, and it's a few days away, and we're pumped up. I mean, this is what you play for all summer, first 9 weeks to get to the playoffs. And, obviously we're heading out to Sycamore on Friday night. The tough matchup, but we're taking it as an onus on ourselves to go out there, bring the fight to them, play hard, and come away with a win.
What happens in that last game of the season? It doesn't affect your playoff berth. It probably affects your seeding a little bit. So tell me what happened out there. It was Shepherd, right? You're on the road. What happens?
Yeah, it was a Thursday night game. It was a rainy night, and we just, we didn't play up to our full potential. And especially the second and third quarter, we kind of, we were winning 13-0. We took the pedal, or took our foot off the gas, and they hung around, and then they took the lead, and we ran out of time at the end. And credit to them for playing hard. Their last game, from us, we're always worried about us more than anything. We take it as, okay, we did not play to our potential. We understand that. The boys understand it. The coaches, everybody involved understands it. So now it's just about moving forward, having a good week of practice, which we already are, which is good to see. The boys have responded well. We always say, especially after a tough loss, you got 24 hours to think about it, 24 hours. We gave them the 24 hours. We watched the film, and we learned from our mistakes. And, the last time we took a loss, we spouted off 3 wins in a row in pretty convincing fashion. So I'm hoping that the boys will respond similar way. Yeah,
this week, it's not a football-related thing, but for anybody who's a White Sox fan, it's the anniversary of the only World Series in any of our lifetimes. And anytime I look on my social media, it's like tonight was the night that Pacetic hit the home run.
I remember. I was in college. I remember. It was good.
I mean, it was like, and you relive that this week. But I always think back to that season and remember they go on a big losing streak and they almost blow the whole thing. And it wakes them up a little bit. Now, take seeding out of it and who your matchup could have been or any of that stuff. Is there something to be said for kind of getting hit in the mouth at the end of the year and reminding them all, you got to be at your highest level now because you lose again, it's over. You can't, what's done is done, but now are you guys ready to go out and win the big games?
Well, the reality is football and sports in general, especially high school sports, varsity sports, I really think, you learn a lot of life lessons from it. And I'm hoping that our boys realize, hey, you know what? We just didn't do what we were supposed to do on Thursday night, and didn't go our way. But it's not the end of the world. You cannot dwell on negativity. You have to move past it. You have to figure out ways in which you can improve as a team, improve as an individual, improve as coaches, and that's the approach we take. And I'm not saying we're not hard on the boys, hard on ourselves when it happens. Of course we are, but like with anything in life, if you choose to only dwell on what just happened and how, oh man, feel sorry for yourself, you're not going to move forward and you're not going to get better. And judging by the first 2 days of practice this week, I feel pretty good. I feel like the players understand, hey, it's playoffs. We got to get going. We got to be focused. And we've had a good couple days of practice. And, Friday night's going to be fun. It's playoff football. It's always fun. You're playing a team that, Evergreen has played Sycamore a few times over the past 10 years in the playoffs. I've never personally done it. A couple of our players did a couple years ago who were on varsity as a sophomore. And, of course, a lot of the coaches are there. New experience for me, and we are very excited. We're excited to go out there, play some good football, and hopefully surprise some people.
Coach Ram, this episode and every episode of the EP podcast brought to you proudly by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, a local community bank that has all kinds of ways to keep your money in your pocket. No overdraft charges. Every ATM is free. It doesn't matter what the charge is, they're going to put the money back in. If you're a small business owner, they now have a business savings special. Open up a new business savings account, get 4% annual percentage yield for the first 12 months with qualifying activities. Stop in and see them today in that iconic building at 95th and Pulaski, the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, member FDIC. Let's take a look at this week's opponent now. Let's take a look at this matchup here. Sycamore is not only the name of the school, it's the name of the town. I mean, that's like a Friday Night Lights movie right there, right? You guys are going to get on the bus, you're going to drive an hour and a half out there, and you're going to be taking on an entire town. They're probably shutting down everything in the area. The old men and women are coming out there just like the little kids, and everybody's coming out for Sycamore. They're 8-1. They play a lot of other towns, like for example, they play Ottawa, which is, not a tiny town anymore, but like I have cousins from there. They come to Chicago. They're like, wow, this is the big city. It's a very different way of living, and people get behind their high school football teams really big time out there. So I would expect you're going to have a big crowd, and you're going up against a team that only lost in their last game of the year. What do you think about this team you're playing? What do you know about them?
They're a good team. There's no question about that. They're well coached. They got good players. They have had a lot of success as a program, not just this individual team over the past few years, even longer. So that, it's going to be a challenge. But we're here. We're welcoming the challenge. We're ready to take it on. It'll be cool to see a town that has, one town, one school, and, small town, not a lot around there. I'm sure it will be a cool environment.
Probably signs when you come driving in, and it'll be something it'll be an experience coming in as the road team, I would think. Yeah,
it will definitely be an experience, but, it's an experience that we are working towards trying to win. We can't go into anything with the mindset of, oh, this is going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but that's not the only thing we're thinking about. We're thinking about, yes, it's going to be tough, but how are we going to do this? How can we beat them? What can we do as coaches, as players, as support staff? Everybody that goes into this wants the same thing. They want to go out there, put their best performance out there on that Friday night, and come home with a victory.
So when you scout this team, is there something they do really well? Are they a team that changes depending on their opponent? You probably have to go out and start searching for tape on a team that's that far away. It's not like it's probably readily available to you. So what have you kind of learned about them?
I personally didn't know as much, but some of my assistant coaches who've been around, who've played them in the past, they know what they want to do. They know, and they're very good at what they want to do.
Yeah.
They're a downhill.
They have a system.
Yeah, they're a downhill run team on offense. Defensively, they kind of play in their spots. They don't rotate a ton. They just kind of rely on sound tackling and pretty disciplined football. They're a good team. We feel like we have opportunity though, and that's all you can ask for when you're in the playoffs is how can we game plan to beat these guys on Friday night, and we've come up with our plans. We're trying to execute them at practice to get the boys used to some of the things that we're trying to do, and we'll see how they perform on Friday night.
How do you prep these guys in terms of just getting them ready for the trip? You were mentioning before we turned on the microphone, it's not a school bus you're riding on. You're going to ride out in something nice, and you're going to give them a chance to relax and get ready to get out there and face their opponent. And there's going to be nerves, and they got to finish their week at school. How do you keep them on target, and keep the nerves steady with them?
So how do you keep high school boys on target is you say the same thing over and over as many times as you can.
Right.
They're pretty good about routine, understanding. So they're going to get a schedule, what the day is going to look like in advance, and they stick to the schedule. And we'll try and put together a schedule leading up to the game that we think is going to just optimize our performance once game time comes, and they'll be ready to go.
Does the band travel with you in the playoffs? I'm like imagining
I'm gonna play the first year card.
You don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they do either. I mean, I'm imagining like a band bus, but like a crazy one, like you would see in like the Muppets with the Electric Mayhem going along, and there's just like a tuba hanging out of the back of it, and they're just like trailing behind you. I don't know if that's what happens, but now I've got a whole vision of this. You're going out into a field, you're facing a small town. There's probably like, angry messages on the sides of buildings as you pull in, and you got the crazy band bus behind you. Like that's my picture.
Well, and part of the signs and the town and all that's part of the fun of playoffs in high school football. And it never, as a player, as a coach, that doesn't bother me. Like, let them have their fun, let them do that. What matters is what happens on the field on Friday night. So it's a very tough team, but at the same time, that's part of it.
Yeah.
If you want to make a run, you're going to have to beat teams that are tough.
Yeah, no matter where you seed, you're going to run into these guys, right? Like if you would have been a 4 seed all of a sudden in your class, and you would just face them the next round because the 5 would play the 4. I mean, eventually you would run into these teams.
Yeah, and you got to just have the mindset of whoever you're playing, we're going to come up with our game plan that we think is going to help us win the game, and then players, coaches have to keep that motivation at an all-time high in the playoffs. This is what I always say to players when you hit the playoffs. It starts to get harder because weather changes. Not today, it's 80 degrees today, but weather is typically changing. It's a grind. It's a real grind. And the great players know how to respond to when it gets tough. And, it gets tough on every single person on deep playoff runs. And I've been a part of them. It is draining, but the rewards, whether you win or lose, are worth it. Obviously, we're always playing to win, but the experience, the opportunity, I was telling the players today at practice, and I was really talking to a lot of the seniors more than anything, you don't get many opportunities to do what you're going to do on Friday night. And then once you get out of high school, outside of the handful of guys that will play college football, that's it.
Yeah.
There's no 11-on-11 tackle football that people regularly play. That's why it's such a unique sport. If you're a golfer, you're going to golf the rest of your life. If you play tennis, you're going to play tennis the rest of your life. If you like basketball, you can find pickup basketball. You can play softball. All the sports that people around here play regularly.
Yeah, you don't see a men's club tackle football league out there.
You don't.
Yeah, because we'd all be hurt.
Yes. But, that's what makes it special. I'm excited. I know the boys are excited. We welcome the challenge and we welcome the opportunity.
Awesome. The game is this Friday in Sycamore, 7 p.m. The Mustangs heading out for their first playoff game of hopefully many here in this postseason. Coach Ram, first year, you got your team in the postseason. Now let's see how far you can take them.
Yep, absolutely.
It's the EP Podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.